All right, guys, the interior of this is really simple to get out. It's pretty common in all of them. You have a lever down here in the front of the passenger seat. Over here in the driver's seat, you just lift that up, lift up, pull forward, and the seats come right out. Same thing over here with the passenger seat. Pull the lever up, lift forward, pull out, and just go on and set it off to the side. Center console, flip the parking brake up. There's nothing blocking it in the way. You just pull straight up and it comes straight out. These are very, very similar to, you know, your Yamaha Rhinos, the Cub Cadets. They're all the Linhai HiSUNs. They're almost all of them are pretty similar. You can see this one here is a single cylinder. Definitely, I can already tell that the air cleaner, if you look down in there, the air cleaner is actually falling off of where it holds it to the intake, which is not good because that means you can get the dirt and rocks and God knows what else. Like I said, this one is farm use, so it can be sucking and ingesting all types of crazy stuff. So in terms of being a fuel injected system like this, map sensors, idle air control motors, or you can call them your idle speed control motors, they all get dirty, they don't work right, and then you start running into some issues there. All right, guys, we're going to address this air filter problem. It had come loose on the inside and it's just rattling around inside the box. I did already take the screws out, but like I was going to say, it is easier if I just remove the emergency brake and the gear shifter here. It's just a couple 8mm bolts, 8mm head bolts, and a couple 10mm head bolts on this side. Remove that, makes it easy access to get this out. So I'm going to pull these off, and then we'll go ahead and pull that apart and see what's going on the inside right here. And one more screw down here. All right, as you can see, it's not even setting in there, and it's just falling apart everywhere. It's just a press fit on this one. It is pretty dirty. May have to clean that out for them. You can remove this cover, and just run it through. Some guys use gas, some guys use soap and water. I like soap and water, and then I spray a little bit of Canon air filter oil, just a little bit, not a bunch. But this thing should be sitting down here nice and tight like this. That way it seals really well right here. Since that has come off, I think what we're gonna do too, we're gonna take a look at the throttle body and see how dirty and nasty that may be. You can see this air cleaner is pretty dirty. So we're gonna pull the throttle body off and take a look in there and see what's going on and see if that's really dirty. Check the map sensor, the IAC motor, and make sure that all that's pretty clean. All right, guys, so check this out. With that air cleaner being off, I took the whole air box off. Look inside this throttle body. Look at that. That is not good. That is actually going inside of this motor, and that is can cause a catastrophic failure. So it's going to be hard to see that side. I don't have a light with me. We're gonna have to pull this throttle body off. I'll clean that. I'll have to clean the IAC motor, check the throttle position sensor, make sure it's still good, and clean all that stuff. And hopefully, probably change the spark plug now. So I saw that, so I have to check the spark plug. And I think you might be lucky that the intake track is not too bad. So I'm gonna clean this throttle body. We'll clean the air cleaner. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and pull the throttle body off here real quick. We'll take a look at the IAC motor, or the ISC motor, which is idle air control motor or idle speed controller. Basically controls the airflow in and out, which helps with idle and airflow through the carb, or through the throttle body, I should say, for runability issues. We'll just go ahead and unplug it here. And then we'll also check and reset throttle position sensor. I actually might just leave that where it's at. since I haven't plugged into it to see where it's actually set at right now on my scanner. I should have did that first. But we'll just leave the throttle position in place, pull the IEC motor out, clean this throttle body because it is pretty atrocious. So we got to pull the throttle cable real quick, which is no big deal. Take the nut screw on the side, Phillips head. Nothing better than a ratcheting screwdriver. Another Snap-on product here. Open that up. You can see that. And then what we'll do, we'll just roll the arm back, push in on the butterfly, hold that butterfly open, and then we'll pull the throttle cable, loop it up and around. Be careful on this one because right here, this little brass piece actually does come off. We'll put that up there in that magnetic holder. And you can see it doesn't hold it because, guys, it's brass, it's not metal, it's not really magnetic. And then we'll break loose throttle cable right here, and it'll pull straight out. Then we'll go over to the solvent tank and clean it all up after we pull that IEC motor out. I use Simple Green. I'm waiting on a bucket heater actually, so I can have a hot solvent green tank. And then I'm investing in a Sonic parts washer also. So if you guys see right here, see how dirty and muddy that is? Also, it runs through this side. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna pull the IEC motor out, make sure that's all clean, and make sure it's not full of junk, which it's got a lot up in there, but definitely pretty bad there. So we're going to ahead and take this over to solvent tank. We'll clean it all up, and then we'll reinstall it, and we'll fire this thing off and see if it gets rid of that spitting and sputtering runnability issue and that dogginess he's talking about. Check it out, guys. This thing came out pristine. The IEC motor here, I took it off. It was clogged full of mud. It wasn't going in and out like it's supposed to when it idles. Instead of having your butterfly adjusted open and things like that, basically this kind of acts as your air inlet for different speeds. It opens and closes. It's called steps for idle and high running ability. And when you hurry up and stop, it does a lot of things. I just won't sit here and explain all the different things it does. But I've seen these go out too before in the past where they don't operate in and out properly. But it was clogged full, so hopefully we get, we'll check the steps and all that. I'll check that off camera on my, oh my goodness, on my scanner. Make sure that's good. Make sure this is properly adjusted. And so we're just going to reinstall this thing. Just the opposite of how we took it apart. We'll stick it back on here, clean up the intake track just a hair, and we'll get it all together, and then we'll turn it over and see if the thing fires off and see how she runs. All right, guys, so we got it reinstalled. I have you on the hood, so you guys may vibrate here a little bit when I fire this up, but let's see what happens here. Got to give the IEC motor a second to catch itself since it's been unplugged and reset. Sounds like she's running pretty dang smooth, man. Really smooth. The motor, that's a little noisy, but nothing too bad. I am going to clean up his ECU plugs down here. I've seen those short out down there in the past. So this thing fires up, runs really good right now. Then we're going to take it for a drive. I'll put all the clutch stuff back together, and then we'll take it for a drive and see how it shifts and all that. And I still got to clean up the air cleaner real quick, so install all that, guys, and I'll take it for a drive. But I think we got this this thing cured here. He had an air cleaner had come off, causing a lot of mud to be sucked into the intake. Clogged up the IEC motor, so it wouldn't hold it idle, couldn't adjust itself because it was packed with mud. The belt was way past its service limits. We got a new belt on there from cranking it. His IEC motor, his starter solenoid had gone out. And so we got a new one of those. I am waiting on the emergency brake cable right now. I don't know why it's not here with the rest of the parts, but apparently it's shipped and on its way. But I'm not going to get into that with you guys, but I just wanted to go over the runnability of this thing. I'll take it for a drive and I'll see what happens, guys. Again, Thanks for tuning in, guys, man. Definitely like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and comment down below if maybe you want me to explain something a little more, or maybe... All right, guys, so what we found in the end of this Massimo, I went through a bunch of stuff. You guys saw that. We fixed the clutches. We fixed the starting issue on it with the starter solenoid. Fixed a one-way bearing, the wet drum, the wet clutch, the wet clutch drum, the primary clutch. Somebody packed it full of grease, which is a big no-no. We replaced the belt. Golly, we did all types of stuff down there. The motor mount wasn't mounted properly. So I checked the valves, and, you know, I got everything good. I got to where it moved kind of well, but it just would not rev up. So I went to check the valves, and of course my valves checked out, because when you check the valves, you're checking on the bottom side of the cam lobe here. You're not checking up here on the lobe. So as I rolled it over, this is what I saw. If you can see here, this is the intake. You can see how it's flattened itself out. I'm going to try to get it to focus here a little bit for you. But you can see how it's flattened out, and there's not a lobe on there anymore. Well, on top of that, this is the exhaust. This is the exhaust cam. You can see what it's kind of supposed to look like. It's been running with almost no oil in it for so long and not being adjusted properly that it took the whole entire lobe off this thing. I actually had a cam here. I was waiting for another job to do on another complete motor rebuild, so I just used that while I was waiting on the second order. Replace that, and also I had to order the rocker arms. You can see what the exhaust cam did to the rocker arm. A big indentation there. It wore it completely out. You have to replace these. You replace that cam, go ahead and replace your rocker arms and the tappets and stuff. You can see the tappets a little bit wore out there too. That's the exhaust one, and this is the intake. You can see what's going on with the intake right here also. So we replaced that, it fired up, and it actually ran pretty darn well. But I could still tell it was pulling air, so I did a little more looking, and I found that this was cracked in half. Well, this was cracked in half. I figured I sealed it up to see if that would, just real quick, to see if it helped not pull so much air. But in the end, we ended up buying a whole new one because his whole entire boot was just breaking apart. He did buy this from a previous guy, and it is just done. So the customer is super happy. It runs really, really well now. I also replaced the IAC motor. It had a couple errors, so I just went up and replaced that. They're pretty cheap. I think it was about $70 to replace it to get the part. They're not very expensive, but it makes a huge difference. Like I said, the cam shot will not run right by any means. It's starting idle, but it won't rev up because the lift height and duration is not even correct, so it's never going to run properly. So in the end, it ended up being a major cam issue. Many air leaks. Throttle body is clogged full of mud. You see, guys saw it had a lot of issues, but it is completely fixed. Customer is super happy. He's got it back out at the farm. Runs great, and he said he's got something else to bring to me to knock it out for him. Again, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Again, subscribe, like, turn on post notifications, and comment down below if you guys got any more input, or do you want to see me work on something, or if you have any questions, please hit me up. I'll be happy to answer them again. Guys, I am Kyle with Limitless Powersports Service and Repair. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.